let's go ahead and start with the retention strategies for our end users, our clients. Okay, and in order to do that, we must start with a clear identification of client types. Okay, out there in the larger pond, if you will, in the marketing and sales pond, we refer to these client types as personas, right? And you want to go through a process of creating a handful of your top 5 personas. What is their makeup? We've got a specific strategy, and Craig, if you remember, maybe we'll do another one of these free things on personas, but we've got to define these top 5 types. And a lot of that will come from the chat box, but drilling down and understanding what are their actual attributes and makeups, because these 4 or 5 personas, if we're real with ourselves, they're producing 80% of our results. So we want to get more of them. Okay, so that's the 80-20. 20% of our top client types or personas are producing 80% of our results. So we want to make sure we clearly identify them and we define them so that we can build out specific strategies to protect them. Okay, and we must have a strategy to absolutely delight them. I'm going to get these things down, and then we're going to go back and get some examples from all of you. We need to have a specific strategy for our top 10%, our top 20%, whatever it is, a follow-up strategy that's of even greater value. This is the #1 way to fight off competition, right? We must track and measure top accounts. What's the breakage? What's the slippage? Not just our retention percentage, but we've got to drill down and understand what's the meaning behind the numbers. We manage what we're not measuring, but it's not just enough to focus on what Allstate is having us keep track of. We've got to drill down and understand what those numbers mean. What does it actually cost you to make up for a lost client? We must understand that people are driven to okay, we got to mute Pete or ask Pete to get present with us because it's distracting. Sorry, guys. There's no better way to throw me off and create background noise. I love the participation, though. What does it actually cost you to make up for a lost client, right? The reason that retention is first, even though technically we can't retain a client until we've acquired them, it's not that just the RAD analogy makes sense. It's our most important, right? Every month, quarter, year that we retain a client is far more profitable than what it costs to acquire them. So we must understand the actual real cost of a lost client, the economics, right? We need to understand their makeup. How often do they buy? What is the actual average transaction? We need to make pre-renewal calls, right? If we're making cancellation calls, it's too late. We need to preempt that. Birthday calls are some examples. New business cadence is another example. So let's take 5 minutes on this. This is where I want you to really participate. Let's get 3 to 5 examples on each. So in terms of starting with clear identification, we can pull this from some of the chats, but how would you describe in a sentence or in a few bullets the makeup or the persona of your top clients?
Top clients.
Think of the people who you're talking to every day, the people who you have a higher closing percentage with, the ones that you interact better. So think of those good conversations that you're having, and those are the people you want to replicate and keep talking to, right?
Exactly. The towards values conversations. So to Craig's point, these are the positive, not the ones that you're babysitting, hand-holding, that are complaining all the time. And it looks like people putting it in the chat, so that's cool too. We've got from, I finally got this figured out, Craig. We got Betty Skinner says, multi-policy, good income households. Okay, great. So now you guys are all over the nation, so you've got different examples of that. So let's just put that down, but when you go back and work on this, I want you to get specific. Which policies make up the multi-policy? What defines income in your market? Okay, we've got homeowner, married, multiple cars. Okay, yeah, that keeps coming up. Clients under 40 or 45 who are homeowners with multiple policies, good credit. So I want you to, we're going to get the general topics down. We'll get this out to everybody, but then you need to drill down and get specific in this, right? The devil's in the details. So what is good credit? What about being 40 to 55? 2 to 3 cars, 30 to 50, life insurance, retirement planning. Okay, great. Let's get anything else you would throw in there, Craig?
I'm typing it in.
Okay.
It goes back to thinking deeper, right, on who these best conversations that you have. Think of, and you talk with your LSPs, what are the conversations where they're being most successful? And that's where you can redirect that energy towards the most successful calls, right? So it's, that's why it's so critical, these personas.
Okay, great. All right, so let's go to the next part. Let's share. Oh, it looks like we've got one more here. Values relationships involved in the community. That's awesome. Get that one down, please, Craig. That's from Lori Bray. Absolutely. Right? People buy from people they like and trust, so they value the relationship. Remember from all of our trainings, price is only an issue when the value is not clear. We're more expensive, not because we're aggravated and angry at Allstate that we're more expensive and we've gotten in our heads that we feel like we can't compete. No, it's that we provide more value. So I love that, Lori. That's awesome. Values relationships, because if you think about it, your best possible clients, they appreciate you. You have the best possible relationships with them. That's awesome.
And Betty's so solid with the clients who were referred originally, right? Because now they're pre-sold. Why do you think that these testimonials and ratings and all this stuff online is so critical? Because it pre-sells that client, right? They pick up the phone, they call you. It's inbound traffic. It's more likely to convert. And now your other raving fan client told them that they must call, right? So they're all over it. They're already pre-sold. Thank you, Betty. That's awesome. 100%.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's get 3 examples of some strategies that you guys are using to protect your existing clients.
Insurance reviews on an annual basis.
Awesome. Insurance reviews. Now, I'm curious. I spend a lot of time in this with Craig, but I'm curious, could we do them quarterly?
Sure, you could, yeah.
Just a thought. I love that, though. Annual reviews. What else? Thank you for that.
I'll throw one in, and I think it's one of the most important ones is the cancellation audit, right? If we're not calling people who are late on their payments, like this is just somebody who may or may not have forgotten to make their payment, and they're out the door if we don't collect that money, right? We must get a hold of those people, and that is a retention, keeping that business and under your roof, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many people on here do cancellation audits?
I do.
We do, absolutely.
Right. I mean, these are people.
I will say though, if I may interject, that we've noticed that our cancellation audit is not typically the client we want. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that they're not generally your multi-car home, high value clients. They tend to be the same,
Right.
line 19,
Yeah.
one policy only type clients. Very rarely do we have somebody on the cancellation list that is a high value client, and usually it's because their credit card expired or something like that.
That's so valuable for everybody who's listening on this call. Was that Candace?
Yes, it is.
Not only does she have a cancel, thank you, Candace, does she have a cancellation audit, but she has a specific filter against what she's calling a high value client, which is a great name for it, right? That's your high value persona. So it's okay if we let go of non-high value clients, because it opens the space, the capacity for us to serve more valuable clients. So that's powerful. And for anybody who's not participating yet, This is why this is far more valuable that you guys are speaking and I'm just facilitating than me coming up with the answers for you, because that's a freaking nugget right there. Thank you, Candice.
Right. And something that goes off of that, Candy, that we do is we try to move them into that spot of becoming a high value client.
Yes.
So if somebody's over and over on the cancellation audit, they're line 19. Well, can we move them to line 10? Can we get them on easy pay so we can get them off the cancellation audit? So a lot of times, you know, sometimes the staff they're like, oh, the cancellation call, I get the same people and they're pissed off, right? And if we can turn those people into high value clients, then we have an opportunity, right? And we're gonna have their ear a little bit more than somebody cold off the street because they're already our client, right? So great stuff.
Yeah, let's do one more. Jennifer McBee's got pre-renewal calls, updates to follow up and cross-sell, to-dos to check in after or during a significant event, hospitalized, maintain personal relationship. Oh, that's great stuff. See, what we're understanding here, folks, from these participants who are sharing with them what's working, and is that there's a system. Okay, we can't manage people and personalities. It's exhausting. We've got to have these systems, these strategies in place that as agency owners, we're overseeing. Imagine the data that Jennifer and her agency is pulling from these 3 strategies. Tremendous. If you had something in place where you're following up with somebody after an accident, after a hospitalization, after a cat, right? That's awesome. All right, let's keep going. And the piece here is we're getting good things. You got to capture this. You got to take this worksheet and your notes and keep adding to it. We can do birthday. All right, let's get to acquisition, right? Acquisition.
All right.